Happy Hump Day, everybody. Welcome to the Vault Excel. This commentary is pertaining to James Dunmore. He was the boyfriend of Allisha Watts, and he has been denied bond. Before I get into that commentary, I'd like to read you information pertaining to Storm Adalia that has made its way to Florida, and we're going to give you an update, and then I'll go into my commentary. Thank you for joining me. Hurricane Idalia made landfall on Florida's western coast as a powerful Category 3 storm. It's the strongest storm to make landfall in the Big Bend region in more than 125 years. Earlier Wednesday morning, which is today, it briefly intensified to an extremely dangerous Category 4 hurricane with winds of up to 130 miles per hour before weakening slightly. Governor Ron DeSantis warned Floridians to heed evacuation warnings. The storm is causing flooding in coastal areas and has left over 115,000 Floridians without power. Idalia's landfall strength and storm surge could reach once-in-a-lifetime levels in the region, which could be swamped by a surge of up to 16 feet, according to the National Hurricane Center. 125 years. That's a long time. If you're in the path of this storm, you have been given a warning to evacuate. Please do so if you can. And prayers for those who will not leave the general area. I had heard that it could get up to 12 feet. That was probably yesterday when I was watching brief information pertaining to the storm, 9 to 12 feet. And now this commentary by CNN says 16 feet. That is taller than a house, than most houses. Many houses have at least 9-foot ceilings, 10-foot ceilings. When you start talking about 16 feet, you're over the average sized house. So that should let you know that many people, animals, would not be able to survive because it would be over the average height of 6 feet of a person, of a structure. So if you are in the path, please evacuate if you can. And as I said, prayers to those who will remain behind. This is very scary information for those who live in Florida. Also, the information I have is that our president, Mr. Biden, will address the Hurricane Idalia today. And as I said, it is a Category 3 storm at the present moment. And Mr. Biden is going to give remarks pertaining to the government's response and recovery efforts in Maui, Hawaii, and the ongoing response to Hurricane Idalia. His team has been in close contact with Florida officials, including Governor Ron DeSantis. The Federal Emergency Management Agency has pre-positioned resources to respond to the immediate impacts of the storm. That includes several incident management assistance teams, urban search and rescue teams, disaster survivor assistance teams that are ready to move to the most impacted areas immediately after the storm passes. A FEMA official has added, also has warehouses filled with commodities like food, water, blankets, medical supplies that are ready to rapidly move into the impacted area at the state's request. The official noted that the Army Corps of Engineers is pre-positioned for power restoration efforts, and the Department of Health and Human Services assisted with evacuations from hospitals and assisted living centers. President Biden will be speaking at 1:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the Roosevelt Room. So right now, at 7:39 a.m., which is now 8:10 Eastern Time, more than 116,000 Floridians are without power since the storm has made landfall. Once again, prayers to our friends in Florida. And as you heard, as far as senior centers, living accommodations, they have made some, I guess, progress in trying to get some of those people out of the said locales. It says the Department of Human Services assisted with evacuating hospitals and assisted living centers. And that is why I had made a comment to someone yesterday, a young lady at my job, that those are the worst people affected naturally, are the people who can't get out, those who don't have the resources to uh, leave their home, and those who are in hospitals and assisted living facilities, nursing homes. They are bound to those places. They're not able to possibly move about or walk, or they're elderly, which is whoever, disabled, and they can't get out. And those are the people that are affected the most, because we have a lot of senior centers here in the United States. And when you are in an area such as Florida, which is a very long state, there are many people who will not be able to get out because they don't have the means to get out, either physically and financially, or both. So prayers to our elderly neighbors in Florida. I'd like to get to my commentary pertaining to Allisha Watts. And also I'd like to send an update pertaining to Elton John. He has taken a fall and is currently in the hospital. I'll post an update to my community board pertaining to the status of his injury. Prayers for Elton John. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $ Big Angie, 129 Cash App. Stickers and chats are welcome during this live stream. The information pertaining to Storm Adalia is by CNN. Thank you for joining me. Got 7 viewing. Good morning, everybody. Yes, the Queen is up early. My off day, but I am up. Wanted to get these updates out to you all before I have to return to work. Judge denies bond for man accused of killing Allisha Watts. Amen. Family gathered outside of the courthouse Monday before his hearing, praying that he would not get a bond. And obviously, God heard those prayers and he answered them. Mr. Dunmore does not have a bond. Amen. 10 viewing, thank you for joining me this morning, everybody. WSOC TV 9 is the source.
Believes today was a step in the direction of justice.
If he is the one that did it, she said that he deserved to have his eyes closed, just like her daughter's eyes is closed and never will be open again.
At Montgomery County Courthouse, Amelia White, Channel 9, Eyewitness News.
Oh, sorry about that. Let me go back a little bit. Hold on one second, everybody. This article is moving so fast to give me time to... I don't know why it's not.
James Dunmore walked inside the Montgomery County Courthouse for his first court appearance. This comes days after police arrested him for the alleged murder of his girlfriend, Allisha Watts. Our cameras weren't allowed inside of the courtroom, but I was there for the emotional moments for Allisha's loved ones.
He didn't have any emotions. He wouldn't look at us. He wouldn't look up.
Allisha's mother, Yvex Franklin, wasn't able to attend court today, so Brenda Smith, her godsister, stepped in on her behalf. Smith says she spoke to Franklin ahead of today's appearance.
She was just shaking her head. No bond, no bond. Don't give him a bond. We do not want him walking these streets.
And that's how the judge ruled. For now, Dunmore will be held without bond.
We're here because Allisha would be here for us. We are Allisha Watts.
She didn't deserve that. The young lady did not deserve that. She was in the prime of her career. So I'm glad that the closure is near for the family.
While there is still a long road ahead for the family of Allisha Watts, Smith says Allisha's mother believes today was a step in the direction of justice.
If he is the one that did it, she said that he deserved to have his eyes closed, just like her daughter's eyes is closed and never will be open again.
At Montgomery County Courthouse, Amelia White, Channel 9, Eyewitness News.
Now, here at Channel 9, we've obtained the 911 calls that James Dunmore made from his home in the Charlotte area before Allisha Watts' disappearance. We'll talk to you about the other woman connected to those calls. That part of the story ahead at 5:30.
Well, the plot thickens. He made phone calls before she went missing. Very interesting. First time hearing anything about phone calls made by the victim and this alleged perpetrator, suspect. So why was he calling the police? We're going to chop that up here in a minute. Very interesting information. And also another woman is involved. What is her involvement? This is very creepy. See, you always have to ask the obvious questions because in the end, it won't matter to many, such as her family, why he killed her. But obviously there was something going on, and maybe this is a three-party story. A she, and a he. Because now we're getting information of him calling 911 before she went missing. This would make me wonder if perhaps he was having a mental episode or there was possibly an altercation between Allisha and Mr. Dunmore and maybe another third party, which is a woman. What happened? Let me read you the said information pertaining to the bond hearing. Thank you for joining me. This is in Montgomery County, North Carolina. The man suspected of killing Allisha Watts was denied bond in court on Monday. James Dunmore made his first appearance in Montgomery County Court, where a judge gave him no bond on his charge of first-degree murder. The judge said his bond can be addressed again by an attorney at a later date. Allisha Watts from Moore County was last seen leaving Dunmore's University City home on July 16. 2 days later, investigators say they found her car at the Polkton Department of Motor Vehicles, where Dunmore had passed out from an apparent suicide attempt. 40 days later and 40 miles away, investigators say they found Watts' remains in a rural area of Montgomery County. Dunmore was also appointed an attorney on Monday. His next court date is September 14th. Channel 9 previously uncovered that Dunmore has a history of domestic violence and served time in prison for kidnapping. Now, I didn't know he had served time in prison. I heard that it was a kidnapping, and I thought it had taken place 3 months beforehand. That was information I brought to you guys a few days ago. I'll stand corrected if that is not accurate. Watts' loved ones held a news conference outside of Montgomery County Jail after Dunmore's hearing, where they promised they would be in court every step of the way. Even though this is difficult, it is necessary, they said. It is necessary to show what happens when a community stands behind a cause, when a community is committed to see justice is served. Watts' loved ones also spoke to Channel 9's Amaya White after the hearing ended. I mean, he didn't have any emotion, said Brenda Smith. She's the god sister to Watts' mother. He wouldn't look at us. He wouldn't look up, quote unquote. This is the lady you heard speaking in this audio. Watts' mom, Yvette Franklin, wasn't able to be there Monday. That's why Smith stepped in on her behalf. She said she spoke to Franklin ahead of the appearance. She was just shaking her head. No bond, no bond. Don't give him a bond. We do want him walking. We do not want him walking the streets, Smith said, and that's how the judge ruled. We are here because Allisha would be here for us. We are Allisha, said Dot Brower, a family friend of Watts. She didn't deserve it. The young lady did not deserve that. She was in the prime of her career, Smith said. I'm glad that the closure is near for the family, she added. While there is still a long road ahead for the family of Allisha Watts, Smith said Watts' mother believes Monday was a step in the direction of justice. If he is the one that did it, she said that he deserves to have his eyes closed, just like her daughter's eyes are closed and never will be open again, Smith said. So the mother did not appear at the hearing, and this lady by the name of Miss Smith spoke on her behalf, a god sister. You heard her here in this audio, and she is speaking on behalf of Allisha's mom, who believes her daughter's eyes are closed. So Mr. Dunmore's eyes should be closed as well, and I agree. To me, that's the proper justice. You give them what they gave the victim. You should not be able to walk around with a bond. You should not be able to have the amenities thereafter trial if you're found guilty to sit in a jail and still be able to talk to your loved ones, watch TV, play games, get commissary, get fed from the taxpayers' dollars. You may not be able to roam around as you would if you were free, but you're still alive. The victims, they are not. WSOC TV9 is the source. Let's talk about the information relayed in this audio. It is suspected that Allisha went missing the day she was at the house with this man, at his apartment home or whatever he lived in. What happened there? What happened to Allisha Watts? This man is believed to be the killer. I believe phone data is how police were able to find her at the back of this cemetery, 35 minutes away from her home. We can suspect that he's the one that took her there, probably took her already deceased in her own car. We also found out that he was in her car at a motor vehicles department, passed out from an alleged suicide attempt. By what means did he try to kill himself? Overdose by pills, what? Fentanyl, heroin, prescription pills, what? And why would you try to kill yourself? We also hear that he was given a public defender because he did not have income. So what does that mean exactly? He doesn't work, or he didn't have money sufficient to pay for a public defender. It would be very disturbing to hear that this woman was dating a man who didn't have a damn job, which we know this happens with many women. They take up with men who are unemployed for whatever reason. This woman obviously had income. She had a nice car. I believe she was driving a Mercedes-Benz. She was doing well in her life, a young woman trying to make a living for herself. Hello, Bruce Davis. Thank you for joining me. I think it's disturbing, just the death itself. I don't know what happened, but we know there was no reason to murder this woman. I don't care if what the argument was about, if they were arguing, if there was a disagreement, if there was something one wanted the other one to do, not do. It should never result in death. Now we have information which is very, very interesting to the Queen, that he made 911 calls before she went missing. So that leads me to believe that something was popping off between the two. And now we get information there's a third party involved. So did it kind of go something like this? Allisha showed up to his house and there was already another woman there. Bingo card. Or Allisha was there with Mr. Dunmore and a third party showed up. And Mr. Dunmore decided, I better call 911. This is getting out of control. So that would lead me to believe if he's calling 911, he possibly wanted somebody to get the hell out of the house or off of the property. Which is it? And I'm not here to make accusations before anybody comes in saying, well, you don't know what happened. No, I don't know what happens, but the news just told us he called 911 before she went missing and somebody else is involved, another woman. Stay woke, everybody. I've not heard anything about another woman, nor a 911 call. The news has heard the 911 call. I'd like to hear it myself. When will they release the 911 call? Please release it because I'd like to hear it. I'd like to hear why he was calling, and I'd like to hear the involvement of a third party, which is a female. I got a feeling, and this is just from being a 52-year-old woman that's been in the world, heard stories, lived, something was going on between the three. Somebody had an attitude, somebody got mad, somebody did something. Now, let's take the latter road. Let's just say he didn't do anything to her. The other woman did it. That would be even more disturbing. That you covered up a death of somebody that was in your house or visiting your house or came to your house, and somebody else hurt the lady. You both panicked, and you took her and buried her 35 minutes from her home. What happened at that house? This is bad. It's bad enough just thinking a man killing a woman for whatever reason, because 9 times out of 10, it's a petty reason. But now you're factoring in another woman. What is her role in this story? This ain't good. The plot thickens. When I get more information pertaining to the 911 call, I'll give you that update. And whatever this information is about this other lady, I'll bring you that as well. I find this very interesting because I've heard nothing about a 911 call, and surely, that he called before the woman went missing, and anything about another lady. Very, very interesting. Mr. Dunmore has been denied bond for those coming into the chat. He does not have a bond. The judge told his public defender that at a later date they can discuss an amount for bond, which I pray one won't be entered in that he can afford. Because what would be even more disturbing besides him murdering this lady or has knowledge of her murder, he walks free. And the fact that he's been to prison for kidnapping. How long did he do time in prison? Who was the woman? Where is she? Will she speak out? Was he dating anybody else while dating Miss Allisha Watts? Is that the story we're going to hear? That there was a second party besides she, Miss Watts. He was seeing somebody else, dating somebody else, married to somebody else, engaged to somebody else, a baby mama. What are we talking about? Because I believe this is a 3-party storyline. A him, a her, and a her. And that's what led to the death of Allisha Watts. Because as I said, in the end, it won't matter what the reasoning was. 9 times out of 10, it was petty, and it could have been resolved by somebody walking away and keeping it moving. Because there's no reason to be murdering somebody over a disagreement. But it happens all the time. People get beside themselves, get crunk, get ignorant, and then they lash out, and then you can't take it back. And sadly, this lady is no longer alive. And by the grace of God, she has people rallying for her, seeking justice for her murder. It is believed that this Mr. Dunmore is the perpetrator. I find it interesting, him trying to kill himself. Why would you try to kill yourself? Usually when people kill themselves after a death of another human, they have some guilt, or they know that they will be possibly prosecuted or found guilty of the said crime, so they take the coward's way out by killing themselves. And now that we hear that another woman may be involved, don't know what the extent is, but that's even more crazy. This man wanted to kill himself. Very interesting. Which still leads me to believe he's responsible for the death of Allisha. But every blue moon, you get a twist in a true crime that involves another party, a third party. And sometimes people do cover for other people. I'm not here to say that he's covering for another woman. I'm just saying you get those circumstances where there's more than just the two involved, the victim and the perpetrator, that sometimes there is a third and fourth party. Sometimes there's more people involved in the storyline. It depends on the evidence that detectives have gathered to bring forward charges. And a lot of times other people are involved in crimes, but only one person stands trial. This is interesting to me. Very interesting. I'm not going to hold you all because I have another live stream I have planned for this morning pertaining to a young toddler that was brutally murdered here in my area. And I'm befuddled by the information pertaining to this 4-year-old's death, shot in the chest by her temporary custodian. Somebody needs to beat the brakes off of this heifer. And her parents, they're not standing in a good light to me either. And I've listened to the video of them speaking to the news, and I'm not impressed at all. I don't like the way they're talking about, we should have done better, we should have picked. You should have done what exactly? Well, guess what? Such as the story with Allisha. it's a little too late. Whatever you did in the past that got your child out of your custody, it's too damn late. Because if you chose these people to raise your child temporarily, let's say you're having issues with the state says, do you have somebody that can raise your kid? You said, yeah, I got my friend over here. Well, that same friend just killed your kid. How about that? I will chop that story up later. I'm hoping that Mr. Chris Thorns can join me because he does a lot of stories pertaining to children. I had told myself I do not like talking about children's stories, but this case is close to me and it's on my radar. It's on my radar. And I believe the child was failed miserably. She and her other sibling were failed miserably by the Department of Human Services, the biological parents, because both of them are speaking in a news conference, and this heathen, this 25-year-old blind heathen, yeah, I said that, who shot this baby in the chest, and her defense is that she was teaching the child gun safety. Now, when did we start pointing the gun at a person to teach them gun safety? I'll wait. I'll bring you that commentary later today, later this morning. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $BeGanji 129 Cash App, stickers and chats are always welcome during the live stream. This commentary is pertaining to Allisha Watts, African-American male that she was dating by the name of Mr. James Dunmore, has been denied bond in court on Monday. The judge will see him again on the 14th of September, he and his attorney, to see if they can get bond reduction or if he can even get a bond. I pray that the judge doesn't give any number, because let me say this before I check out of here. When September 14th comes around, he goes to court. Let's say he gets a bond of $500,000, $1.5 million, whatsoever. My thing is, what's the point of it? Because you're still showing disrespect to the dead. How about that? You're showing disrespect to the dead to give him a bond of any number, whether he can afford it or not. Detectives have gathered information. Their information led to Mr. Dunmore as a primary suspect. Obviously, they went to the judge to get a warrant signed. The judge signed the warrant from the evidence. So that leads you to believe they think he did it. Something they found led them to believe he killed this lady. So no matter what the bond number is, it's disrespectful to the dead to give him a bond, whether he can afford it or not. Because basically you're saying, yes, law officials brought forward information that says you killed this lady and I'm going to give you a chance to walk free again. This time murder. Last time was kidnapping. Now this time he's killed a whole human. And I'd like to get information on the lady or person he kidnapped, the circumstances for which the person got kidnapped. How long were they kidnapped? Were they kidnapped out of a home, off the street, or he just made the person stand or sit in a room? Because that's still considered kidnapping if a person is forcing you to not move inside of a domain, car, whatsoever. Who was that person? How long did the ordeal go on? How long was he with the person, dated the person? Where is she now, if I believe it's a she? And how much time did he receive in prison? Because it had to be a bad situation for him to go to prison. And sadly, ding, 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 he gets out of prison to only kill Allisha Watts. So how long ago was the prison sentence? How long did he get? Was time flattened? Parole? What? And I also want to get information on this 911 call. Because now we have information. He called police before Allisha went missing. So I need a time frame of the calls, daytime, nighttime, where did the calls come from, his house, his home, who was in the house with them, and what was going on, and what is the relevance to this other woman. If you need to go back to the beginning of this live to get that information of a third party involved in this debacle, please go back to the beginning of this live stream where you will hear the news reporter mention a third party and this 911 call. Was there some shenanigans going on with Mr. Dunmore, Miss Allisha, and another woman? Who is this other woman, and what is her role in this storyline? Thank you for joining me. God bless all of you. Have a wonderful week. Please check my community board for polls, updated stories, information on the Florida storm, which has made landfall, 116,000 Floridians without power. Category 3 storm, been reduced from a Category 4. Mr. Elton John has taken a fall. Prayers for him. Prayers for our neighbors in Hawaii. Mr. Biden will be speaking, our president, at 1:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on an update to this Category 3 storm in Florida, the results of the response in Maui, in Hawaii, 1:45 p.m. Update on the Florida storm and Hawaii, the devastation from those fires. And once again, Mr. Elton John has taken a fall. He is currently in the hospital. Prayers to him. Prayers to our neighbors in Florida. Prayers to our neighbors and friends and family in Florida. Prayers for this baby girl who has been shot by her temporary custodian. I'm going to bring you that story a little later this morning. And prayers to Allisha Watts' family that there will be justice served in her murder and that Mr. Dunmore does not get a bond on September 14th. And if there is a bond, I pray that he can't afford to bond out. That's the latest information. Thank you for joining me, everybody. You have been listening to The Vault XL.